On August 23rd, 2015, Packers wide receiver Jordy Nelson caught a pass around the 20-yard line. He pivoted to his left, and he turned upfield, and he was later diagnosed with ACL tear in his right knee, and he had to miss a season as a result of that. A lot of sports analysts have said that because of this injury, the Packers lost the NFC North to the Vikings. As a chiropractor, I see that a lot of times injuries and health problems can have a huge impact, not just on the person, but on those around them as well. And I love all the stories of people who refuse to allow their health problems and injuries to keep them down, and they push forward to achieve the abundant life that they deserve. And so today, I'm going to talk about my journey in training for a marathon. So in April, I decided that I wanted to run a marathon. And so I chose a marathon on September 10th for the Apple Dumpling Days in Elroy, Wisconsin. I was really excited about this race because you get to run on this old train track, and you get to go through these dark tunnels that the train went through. You get to wear these glow sticks in order to see. So I was really excited about that. So I invested in a good pair of running shoes, and I started running. Well, when I was in Bemidji at the time, and so I started running 3 miles a day during the weekdays, and then 6 miles a day on the weekends. And then I moved to Rochester, and by June I was running 5 miles during the day on the weekdays, and then 10 miles on the weekends. Well, then my training hit a little snag, because I heard about a race for charity. It was a 5-mile race around Essex Park on July 30th. And I said, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it well and competitively. So on June 15th, I decided to do that route, and I started with a little pain in my knee. And I decided to go between sprinting and jogging in order to really increase my speed. And so by the time I hit this hill, which was it's a lot longer and further when you're driving past it, my knee started to hurt a little bit more. And as you may be able to see, the path is a little off level. And so even while I had some knee problems at this time, this really made it worse because it pushed my knee to one side and the other. And so at the end of this race, my knee was bothering me a little bit more. But my time I was doing 8-minute miles, and that wasn't good enough for me. I wanted to do 6.5-minute miles. So I decided that I would run the next day. And so after about 2 miles or so, my knee was really bothering me. And so I ran for 2 miles, and then I had to stop and walk the rest of the way home. I went to the doctor. We found that there were some bruises on my left leg, and that I couldn't run for about a month. Now, as a coach and as a player, this is my favorite time in sports, when life really defenestrates you. And you need to decide if you're going to allow your obstacles to define you, or if you're going to push through them and really achieve your goals. And so I knew that I couldn't run a marathon on September 10th without risking further injury. But I could redefine my goals and how I was going to achieve them. So I decided that the half marathon for Med City on September 4th or 24th was a reasonable goal, and then I would do that marathon in the spring. So I'm going to talk about the process that I went through to recover from this injury and to really achieve my goal. Now keep in mind that I'm not providing any prescription. I'm just providing education about the steps I went through. Also keep in mind that I'm going to be really high level because this is a 7-minute speech, and this was initially planned as a 25-minute speech without a detail. So the first step is to replace the symptomatic behavior. Keep in mind I'm not saying remove or stop the symptomatic behavior, because all of our behaviors in life serve a specific function. It could be stress relief. It could be social time. So just dropping that is going to cause a lot of problems and make it really hard. So I decided to start biking. So now I'm biking 20-25 miles about a few times a week or so. Second is to work on the biochemistry of your muscles. And so I make sure that I get hydrated. I also work on my nutrition. It's a really big topic. Basically what I work on is just making sure I eat a lot of green vegetables and lean meats. I also work on mindset. This can have a huge impact on biochemistry. For example, it works on your stress hormones. The third step is to develop muscle flexibility and range of motion. I do a lot of things for that as well. So the hip flexors are the muscles that bring your body into a fetal position. They typically tend to be really tight. They reduce your range of motion, and they can cause a lot of injury. And so I do a lot of things to work on that. The fourth step is to work on the stabilizing muscles. These are typically the muscles that bring you out of the fetal position and really help to give you a good posture. They also really help to stabilize against injury. And so I worked on I do a lot of stuff for that as well. Now the fifth step is to improve the interface with the ground. So in other words, unless you're an astronaut, there is no escaping gravity. So you really need to work on how your body interacts with the ground. This involves having good shoes. It involves running on a route that's not too hard, that's not off balance. It also involves what you're doing when you're not exercising. And so it's important for how you sleep and how you sit. You want to have good ergonomics, because if you do this wrong, then that can predispose you to injuries as well. So the sixth step is improving your form. You know, as a basketball player, I would spend a lot of practice working on my shooting form. But with running, it takes so much more time because you're doing it over and over and over again. And when you're doing a marathon, that's for 4 hours straight. And so I definitely do a lot of things to work on my form as well that I found have worked for me. Now the seventh step that I found is to reintroduce this activity gradually. The way that I do that is in addition to biking, I run about half a mile or so every few days, and this really helps me to look at exactly how I'm running, how I'm feeling, and how my rehab process is going as well. You also want to make sure that you take the time to rest and recover, like I didn't on June 16th. And so there's a lot of things I do for that as well. And finally, the last step is to keep your eyes on your goal and go get it. It's important to have fun. And Zig Ziglar said that instead of allowing your obstacles to keep you down, it's important to readjust and to keep your eyes on your goal. So, Mr. Toastmaster.